everybody. Welcome back to Instructional Insights. Hey, Tyler.
Hello, Basil. Hello, folks.
Hey. So, now, today we're talking about...
What do you think makes a good teacher?
Ooh, a good teacher.
How can you tell?
I think that is a question that's been asked by many people, and many people's got different opinions on what is a good teacher.
Right.
And I think as time went by, people's perceptions changed on what is a good teacher. And I think also, if you ask one education department, they've got a different view of what a good teacher is. So I think that's a difficult question to answer.
It's hard to tell. But as society, we always try to find ways to evaluate and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Which is important.
Which is important. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what do you think the way they try to evaluate now is most of the time?
I think for the last how many years, I think the focus is still on results. Standardized tests. Am I right?
I would say so too. I would say, and that's in some countries and such. Even they get rewards for doing so well on the test. If you do so well on certain standardized tests, they get rewards. And I don't know. I can see some merit to it in one way. Like if you look at a teacher in a district or area where most students are not performing well, and for some reason this teacher's class is performing well, does that tell you something about that teacher, do you think?
So, there's some truth in it. But is it simple enough to then say, because it's working in this situation, it should go for everybody?
Right.
Now, that's the question I'm wondering about. So, yes, I agree with you. There should be some truth in it. But I don't think it's as clear-cut, black and white. Yeah. It's not a situation where I can say, yes, that's the final rule. We're going to measure you by the students' performance in standardized tests.
Or they could look at that teacher who is doing well and say, what's this teacher doing that the other teachers are not?
Yeah.
There's a big problem with it, too, in my idea, too. It could be just measuring how well the teacher is teaching to that test.
And is that effective then? So
I don't know.
Again, a lot of people will have different opinions on that. What I do think is also important is you get different teachers with a different gift mix, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So if the teacher's got a certain gift mix, a certain way they teach and a certain way they approach a subject, which is effective in their way,
absolutely,
but we measure them with a different set of criteria, we would say this is a terrible teacher, but they're actually doing good. It's just they're different. We're using a different way to approach them and evaluate them. So it becomes a really complicated situation.
It is,
So what are the other ways that they're measuring teachers these days?
That's another tough one to talk about. And I think that this talk is quite general. We'll probably go a little more in-depth in some of our future ones.
Jokes, yeah.
But another thing is, what do you think about parents and students evaluating their teachers?
Okay, so this is a different one. And I think it's a big thing. I've got a big problem with this side of it. We see teachers as professionals, right?
Yep.
They're professionals, they're trained, and they are providing a service, but they're trained. We see them as professionals. Now, my question is, once we start, we use parents and students to evaluate our teachers, or their opinion to evaluate teachers. My question is, are we devaluating their professional approach to this? So we're saying somebody that's not trained in that profession evaluate somebody that's trained in that profession.
Absolutely.
That becomes a problem for me. It
does, but it's not uncommon.
No, it's not.
Yeah, think about at the end of every university class, you get an evaluation how was the professor of this, and this.
So my problem is, let's say for example, you get a student that's not working, that's got some behavioral challenges or whatever the case might be. And sure, there's going to be a group of students and it's going to be one out of whatever, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that teacher is not evaluating the teachers on his abilities rather than how the student feels about the teacher. And that becomes a problem for me.
And that's also going to be, it's going to be those those are going to be geared towards keeping the parents and students happy.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be like, is the teacher... Well, some of them are going to be good. Yes, being clear and concise in their explanation, that's good. Giving things back on time and stuff. But really, it's going to be about how much the teacher pleases these people.
So is it good for education then? That's the next question. Are we educating then, or are we keeping people happy?
That's the thing.
So maybe we should take a little bit from each of these approaches. It is important to see the parents' point of view and the students' point of view. So I'm not saying cancel it. I'm just saying it shouldn't be the bulk of the evaluation. It's just a tiny part of the evaluation. There are so many things at play.
There's some teachers that would probably bend over backwards for people, but might not be an effective teacher.
Exactly.
And there might be someone who doesn't and is a very effective teacher.
Exactly.
It's just such a tough thing to do.
Well, from my side, in conclusion, I think there's no clear-cut one way to base an evaluation of a good or a bad teacher on. I think there's so many different variables at play, and as research goes on, it's going to change even more.
It's going to change. Always, there's this is the ideal teacher now.
Exactly.
This is the ideal teacher now.
And also within an area, there are certain values that's different from this country to this country, or this area to that area.
Absolutely.
So it's a complicated issue. So principals in the future, I imagine, should be open enough to say, all right, this is what we need to fill this position. This is the gift mix of a teacher we need
so
for this
kind of
situation.
Like hiring people based on the fit for your organization.
Exactly. Well, at least in certain cases.
Yeah.
And then evaluate on that. And this teacher knows what's expected. They would apply for that job knowing this.
Right.
And I feel I fit in. The administration hired me for this job. Everybody knows what's expected of them. Maybe that's an answer.
Right. It's the only problem with that is the standardization, like kind of the
again.
Yeah.
It becomes a problem.
No, I think you're very right. We should definitely celebrate all different kinds of teachers and their strengths, and just do your thing. Work towards what's working well for you.
Exactly. It's an ideal world, though, Tyler, because schools are struggling to find teachers sometimes. So that's an ideal world. It's not going to happen always. So in the end, evaluating a good or a bad teacher, I think what I want to say is it's not easy. It's not as easy as we thought. It's not like, all right, we tick these boxes, it's a good teacher. Or, tick these boxes, it's a bad teacher.
Right.
It's not as easy as that. It's way more complicated, and it's important to know and recognize this.
Right. Yes. So what do you think, folks? Like, do you have give us any more clear direction on how to evaluate teachers, or how you have been evaluated in the past? We'd love to see you share. Thanks.
See you next time.